So the House just voted 219 to 211 to pass a resolution to end the national emergency that required Trump to have tariffs on Canada. There were a few defections from the Republicans, and some were unmoved by Mike Johnson's desire to wait till the Supreme Court weighed in on it. People like Don Bacon said, I'm not going to wait until the Supreme Court decides one way or another. I'm going to go ahead and decide right now that we don't need resolution or we don't need tariffs on Canada. This does not mean that the tariffs are over. Tariffs have caused $287 billion worth of extra taxes on the United States citizen. That's about $1,000 per person that we have had to pay more because of these taxes or tariffs. Remember, it's not on the country, it is on us because we pay more for the goods coming in. The the individuals who flipped on that and decided to pass that are probably a little worried about the election in November, and were fighting for their lives a little bit and trying to give themselves a little bit of grace with voters because voters are feeling that bite. But again, 211 others said, fuck y'all. And you can keep paying that taxes because Trump wants you to. That money's not coming back to us. It's going towards trying to pay off the $4 trillion in tax cuts that he gave to the rich billionaires that are his friends. So it now goes to the Senate, and then the Senate will look at the resolution. I believe Trump has to sign off it himself if it's actually going to go away, and he won't do that because he'll say that it has to do with fentanyl or something like that. I think is one of the big things that they're pushing right now. Is there's an emergency, and very little fentanyl comes from Canada. So, but that's their big national security thing that they try to say is what they're doing to tax us on goods that are coming in. Personally, I think the Supreme Court is probably going to overrule him on tariffs because it's an election year, and they're going to use that as kind of a ploy to lower prices a little bit. Remember, these are prices that were raised because of the tariffs. But I think what the Supreme Court will probably do is say, hey, you don't have the right to do the tariffs. And then that will alleviate some of the costs. And then what you'll see Trump and the GOP MAGA cult do is say, like, look, prices are getting better because of, the orange leader. It's exactly what they'll do. And the Supreme Court, I think, knows that. They're going to try to make prices a little bit better for people going into an election year where they're widely expected to get trounced and maybe even lose the Senate, which scares the shit out of them. So they're going to make prices go lower. The GOP and Trump have done this in the past multiple times where they have made things way worse. And then when they brought them back to the normal, they said, look what we did. We improved things so much for you. This is one of their games. I expect the Supreme Court to shut down the tariffs and then say, hey, prices are getting better, and not remind you that they're the ones who raised the prices in the first fucking place. So again, that's a resolution. It's just kind of a slap back from a couple of Republicans in the House. It'll go to the Senate. We'll see what happens there. Again, I think Trump has to sign off on it for anything to change and for us to start spending less money. And again, this is only Canada, but I think the Supreme Court is going to go ahead and nix it at some point in the future and then say prices are falling. So there you have it. Thanks.